Hello, my horde. Today is the day where I talk about my honeymoon, and you might think, based on what I'm wearing, that we went to Disney World, but we did not. On our first night down in Orlando, I demanded a special trip to Disney Springs just to buy these because I have always wanted bright ears, and just because we were going to Universal was not going to stop me from wearing bright ears. I actually didn't end up wearing them inside Universal, but I did wear them for like an entire day. So, you know, $27 well spent. But anyway, so we actually didn't book our honeymoon until the day after the wedding because of money reasons. But we knew what we wanted to do. We knew we wanted to go to Universal because we've previously taken a trip to Disney World, just Magic Kingdom and just one day, and we didn't stay on an on-site hotel, and we wanted to do Universal this time, but we wanted to fix everything we did wrong about the first trip, especially since we'd be doing more than one day. So we stayed at an on-site Universal hotel. That was one of the things we knew we were gonna do. We were gonna get like 2 days of passes and like actually take time, enjoy all of that, not feel pressured to get everything done in one day. And then we knew we were gonna go to SeaWorld because I had free tickets, so of course we were gonna go to SeaWorld. So we got in for free, and also my husband really loves aquariums, and SeaWorld is a large aquarium, pretty much. I mean, there's also the roller coasters, but I don't ride those. And he actually ended up not getting on any of them. He will ride roller coasters, but just didn't get on one. Not important this time around. But to start with, so yeah, we booked the day after. It wouldn't let us book for checking in that night. It would only let us book for checking in the next day. So we did that. And then we spent most of the day like buying stuff for the trip. Like we went to Walmart and I needed to buy a bathing suit because I haven't had one in a couple years. I haven't bought one in a couple years, and I found out recently that all my old ones don't really fit. So I bought a new bathing suit. I actually ended up buying the bathing suit at Target because we did go to Walmart and got some like tank tops and stuff. I got a fanny pack. I should go grab this and actually show this to you guys because I got this fanny pack and it was amazing to just take just my fanny pack and like not have something over my arms. When we went to Disney World, I had like a whole backpack with like full-size sunscreen and like all kind of stuff we thought we would need, and it was just really annoying to carry around. But this fanny pack, all that was in the fanny pack was my phone, my wallet, a travel size sunscreen for reapplication, and a bottle of like aspirin. And that's all that was in there. And it was so freeing to just not carry stuff around for once, because I'm definitely one of those people, like my purse is just full of everything and I just like can't get away from carrying an entire purse. But it was really freeing to like not do that in the parks for once in my life. It was great. My aunt gave me actually as a bridal shower gift this bag full of like snacks and drinks for our trip, and actually it was so great. We took it, we ate it, we drank it. She put the Mountain Dew Liberty flavor or whatever, the new blue thing that came out that I'm pretty sure is just the Pepsi Blue formula with maybe a splash of Mountain Dew actually splashed in there, but not even really. It tastes a lot like Pepsi Blue, and I was really excited when I had my first one. So when I saw those in there, I was really excited, especially because I knew those were both going to be for me, because there was no way that Mr. Dragon was going to drink those. He's not into, like, he'll drink Mountain Dew, but like anything that's like blue raspberry is like too sweet. So I was like, I'm gonna get to drink both of those, yay! There were some like, there were like peanut butter M&Ms, there was like a stick of beef jerky. It was actually really great for the road trip, and actually we were still snacking on it like down there, and it was a really good gift. But yeah, and like we took that, so we didn't really buy any snacks. We had snacks already, but if we hadn't, we would have been like buying some snacks and stuff to take. But mostly we bought, like, I just needed some more tank tops because I was like, there's no way it was June and I'm like, I'm not wearing a t-shirt in a theme park in June down here. Like, no way. But I didn't have enough tank tops to cover our like 3 days of stay. But yeah, so we like went and prepared, and then I just really like wanted to go, so we actually left for Orlando that night, Sunday night, and just found and stayed in like a different hotel overnight. We checked into that hotel and then ran to Disney Springs, which thankfully was not yet closed, but it was closing soon because they closed at like 11 and we got down there at like, and we got into Disney Springs at like 10. But we were there long enough to like buy these, but most of the like shops and stuff were starting to close up, like, so we didn't really get any like desserts or anything that we might have done if we had gotten there earlier. But we got the important thing done, and we took some selfies, and we stood there for a little bit and listened to a band that was playing on that amphitheater stage. We had fun. And then the next morning, because we couldn't like check into our hotel, we stayed at Cabana Bay at Universal, but we couldn't check in until like 3. So we did, we actually went to mini golf. Pirate Cove Adventure Mini Golf ended up being really close. There's 2 locations in Orlando, and one of them ended up being really close to the hotel we were staying at. So we checked out of that hotel and drove over to the mini golf and did mini golf, and I was wearing my ears the whole time. So I did mini golf in these. We actually had a lot of fun. We did the Blackbeard course, which is the harder course there, because we were just like, yeah, no, let's just go for the hard one. We actually really like mini golf, and at one point in time we joked about just going to different mini golfs across Florida as our honeymoon. So that was like really exciting for us just to like get to do that, and it was actually a really, really fun course. Like, the theming is nice, like, you know, there's like a little pirate ship, and I like all the waterfalls. The waterfalls are great. I don't really care about all the like pirate statues, but there's a bunch of like pirate statues. Like there's one where the guy is like in the lake and you just see his head and he's, I don't know, got his knife in his mouth or something. I don't know. And there's one, there is one area where there's, you go around a corner and there's like a Blackbeard behind some like bars, and he like talks. I don't think he moves, I think he just talks, but I wasn't expecting it because we were like the only people on the course at the time, so there wasn't anyone ahead of us triggering it, so when we went around the corner and triggered it, I was actually like, ah! Like, it actually scared me because I was just like, it was so quiet otherwise, like I just was not expecting that to happen. But yeah, it was great. Mr. Dragon got a hole-in-one on one of the holes on that course. We also had, it was my second stroke, but the second to last hole is actually one of those ones where you, there's like 3 tubes at the top and it like drops down to the bottom, and like which one you pick is where you come out and all that. And it's so funny because I had guessed, I was like, okay, this one looks the hardest to get your ball into, so that's probably the one that like leads straight to the hole. So I took my first stroke and got super close, but not actually into the hole. So then Mr. Dragon goes and he uses that one. It like gets down there, like I'm right, it's totally the one that like leads like straight to the hole, but his didn't go in, it like went past the hole. And then, so I just tapped mine in, and we're waiting, and we can't, that is always gonna happen. But we were waiting, and we just don't see my ball come down, because with his, we saw it on there's like a middle section that it goes down, and then the final section. We never saw mine hit the midsection, so we're like, what happened? For like a ridiculously long time. And then Mr. Dragon's down there, and he goes, "Hey, so I found your ball." And I'm like, "It's in the hole, isn't it?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's in the hole." And I'm just like, dang it, because it was a hole in two, like, which is still really good. But it was just so funny because I'm just like, why couldn't it have done that on the first stroke? It's because I didn't make it in. But it was funny because we just were like, we don't know where it is, because we just didn't look in the hole to start with. Because we didn't expect it to have gone right in, but it did. And that was funny. But yeah, Mr. Dragon beat me by like 10 or something, but we had a lot of fun. And then we went, we had noticed on our way into the golf course that there was an On the Border, and we happened to have, it was a Chili's gift card that someone had given us, and but I noticed on the back that it said it was also good at On the Border. So we went in and we did double check. Apparently they're actually not owned by the same company anymore, but they are still honoring certain gift cards that say you can use them at On the Border. I'm glad I checked first though, because yeah, that would have been a thing, but I was just like, oh yeah, we're intending to use a gift card, like I want to make sure it works because it's a Chili's gift card, but it says it's good here. Anyway, long story longer, we went there because we had the gift card. We had some, it was actually pretty good. I've never eaten at an On the Border before, but it was actually pretty good. And then we went and walked around the Florida Mall. I showed Mr. Dragon the building for the Toys R Us that I used to work at is still there. They haven't torn that down or anything. So I'm just like, yep, that's where I used to work, because I used to work at the Florida Mall Toys R Us. But as we all know, Toys R Us is now defunct in America, and it's just a big empty building with a bus stop next to it now. I don't know, it was kind of nostalgic. I was like, hey, look honey, that's where I used to work. And he's like, that's nice. And I'm just like, shush. But yeah, so we walked around the mall until it was like about time to go over, and then we like checked in at Cabana Bay, and they I was still wearing my ears, and like some of the staff like teased me for wearing the ears or whatever, but they when they checked us in, they were like, oh, so it's your honeymoon? We're like, yeah, it is. They're like, well, thanks for spending your honeymoon with us, and they gave us like some drink vouchers. But we went up to the room and like settled in, and actually from our room, because Cabana Bay is right next to Volcano Bay, the new water park, newer. I guess it's been open for a couple years, but it's still new to me. I haven't actually been to it, but I've now seen it. Well, I had really seen it before, but not closely. But from our hotel room, we were on the backside of one of the arms of the hotel, closest to Volcano Bay, and you can actually, from that room, we could see one of the larger slides that's got the big like funnel piece, so we could actually see people on the little funnel piece. We could actually see that from our hotel room. I stood there for a second because like that was interesting that we could see that, but like it was that in the top of the parking garage. So not like a scenic view. We weren't on the pool side or anything, which Cabana Bay has amazing pools. I really liked that hotel. I really did. We both really enjoyed it, and staying on property was a great idea. But then we went to the pool least close to our room. And we went to the little bar there and had I had a frosé, but we had some frozen drinks. And then, so we ended up with, our tickets were 2-day 2-park, and there was a promo where it was an additional 2 days. We actually still haven't used the other 2 days, but because we had the 2 days, we originally weren't sure if we were going to Islands of Adventure, but when we like decided on like, so we had the 2-day tickets, and we're like, well, our only full day is going to be tomorrow anyway. Let's do IOA tonight. So we did, and we pretty much just rode Spider-Man. I meant to also ride Forbidden Journey, but then we didn't. Like I had a weird thing. So what we first intended to do, we were like, all right, we're gonna like march straight back and see like what the wait time for Flight of the Hippogriff is. I've never been on Flight of the Hippogriff, and in my head it's a much smaller roller coaster than it is looking at it to me. I'm so terrified of roller coasters. So I looked at it and I saw a 45-minute wait for it, and I was like, no. And then Forbidden Journey also scares the crud out of me because it just, because it has such a wide range of motion. It's not so much that it goes too fast or whatever. It's literally just the fact that it like dumps you on your back sometimes. Like it just lays you flat on your back. And I have a problem with that. So like, that ride is actually really scary for me. Not through any of the theming or effects, but just because it has such a like dip this way. It can dip you so much this way. I'm just like, no. But yeah, and supposedly it was weird. It was really weird because I looked at the sign for Flight of the Hippogriff and it was 45 minutes, and I looked at the sign for Forbidden Journey and it was 15. And I was like, this is backwards, right? Like this is backwards from the way this usually goes. But then we stood there and I was trying to decide if I was gonna get on Forbidden Journey, and then I went, no, I don't want to do that right now. Let's go do Spider-Man. And Mr. Dragon, he's such a good sport because he doesn't care. Like, it's not like he had his heart set on anything because he doesn't even like Harry Potter. So it's not like he was like, oh, I really wanted to get on the Harry Potter ride. And obviously we were never even going to try to get on Hagrid's motorbike because it has a free fall. And I do not want that. I do not care if it's only like 10 feet of free fall. I think it's 16. It's too much. Any is too much. I thought I would be able to get on that roller coaster maybe until I knew that there was a part that drops like straight down, and I'm like, no. That's a no. It looks terrifying otherwise too, now that I've actually seen footage of it and stuff as well. But yeah, so back across the park to Spider-Man. And then we looped back around to Harry Potter because I wanted butterbeer. And my husband, like never having had butterbeer, is like, sure, I'll try one. Because it's mostly just cream soda, and that's not objectionable to him. It's sort of the whipped topping that's on the top is too sweet for him. He does not like sweets. Oh yeah, and then we ended up waiting for the Castle Light Show, because I was just like, well, yeah, I want to see that. But apparently it runs continuously, but they like make people wait in groups, and it wasn't super great. It didn't feel well organized. It also didn't feel like once I actually saw the show, it didn't feel like they needed to do that. It felt like they could have just let people walk in and out of that with no issue. But you know what, I don't run a theme park, so I don't really know. All I do know is that I didn't know exactly what to expect, but I was still disappointed. Yeah, they just project the different houses and onto the thing, and it's not even like, when it's Slytherin, it's not even like they try to make it look like the snake's like going in and out of the windows of Hogwarts or anything. Like, it's just a snake crawling up Hogwarts, and I'm like, I'm not impressed. Like, I realize that it's still, it is actually still technically good. Like, the actual making of it is still not easy. It's still technically impressive, but it wasn't a show like I expected. There was no actual story. There was very little even visually to watch. It wasn't a lot moving around. Like, they could have literally projected laser lights, like shoo shoo shoo, like a laser show onto the Hogwarts castle, and I would have found that more impressive than just like, oh yeah, Gryffindor, here's a lion. Maybe I just don't care about Harry Potter enough. Like, maybe, like, I have a house, like, I'm like semi into Harry Potter, or like I'm a Slytherin. I'm not gonna stand there and like, wah! Just because they said Slytherin though, and that seems to be what that whole thing was. Just like, people are like, they said the name of the thing I like, and I'm just like, I'm not entertained right now though. Like, The more interesting stuff is happening behind me in the tree, actually. There's lights in the tree, and they only come on like a couple times during that show. And I'm like, this is actually more interesting. These lights too, they are made to look like pine cones. So during the day, they straight up just look like pine cones in the trees, but they're lights. And I'm like, that's the cool part. Oh my god. Like, that was really cool for me to, like, realizing that, like, those are lights shaped like pine cones. I, like, props on that, because that's a really clever way to, like, hide those during the day, and, like, I liked that part. But the actual castle projection show itself was disappointing for me. I don't know what my expectations were. I really didn't know what to expect. I had never watched it online or anything. I went in completely blind. Like, I knew that they did castle shows, but I didn't know what they were. So maybe I just set it up too much in my mind, like it was gonna be like something that it wasn't. It seemed like a waste, because I was just like, that wasn't entertaining. But you know, if other people like it, like obviously, if they got a lot of complaints about it, they'd either change it or stop doing it, or maybe they wouldn't. Maybe even if they got a lot of complaints about it, it still just is something to happen in the park, so they do it anyway. I don't know. I doubt they get a lot of complaints about it, because it seemed like the people around me were really into it. I just was looking for more showmanship, more entertainment value, and not just like, yay, it's Harry Potter, because I'm already in Harry Potter world. I'm already going, yay, it's Harry Potter. I'm gonna stop talking about that now, because I didn't really expect to go on that long about how much I didn't like the castle show, because it's really not that offensive. It's not offensively bad or anything. I'm like ranting like I'm really mad about it or something, but I'm not. I just didn't like it. It was meh. But then it was pretty much, by then it was pretty much park closed, so we just headed out of the park. We knew we wanted to eat at Cowfish, so we like stopped by to see how busy it was, because if it was like super busy, we would have tried to get a reservation for the next night. But it turns out they were like, oh, just the two of you? We can seat you now. And we're like, yeah, let's do that. So we originally, like, we brought clothes, like we were gonna dress up for dinners and stuff, but then it was so hot all day, and it was still pretty hot at night. But because too, we walked out of the park and then just decided to go eat. We just ate in our park clothes, and honestly, I don't think it was so fancy that I needed to dress up either. Like, it's a nice restaurant, like it's a really nice restaurant. I really liked the food. I had sushi, Mr. Dragon had a burger, we had the appetizer of the black truffle fries, and those were good. Everything was good, but it didn't feel so fancy, even though it was expensive and we spent a lot of money. It didn't feel so fancy that we needed to be dressed up. So, like, it was like casual for us, even though we were celebrating, and I liked that about it too. But that's what we did, and then we went back to the hotel and slept and all that. And then the next morning we actually, we could have gotten into the park like really early, the 1 hour early, because of being resort guests, but we didn't do that. We actually like woke up at like 10, and then what did we do? What did we eat for breakfast? I think we ate breakfast, maybe. Or maybe we just had snacks. But yeah, we sort of leisurely, we decided to go to the pool that morning, and like, thank goodness we did, because I would have felt real silly for spending all the money on Cabana Bay and then not swimming in at least one of those wonderful pools. The pool that was closer to us was the one that has the lazy river. There's a small lazy river. We didn't actually end up getting in it because we didn't bring floats. And you have to either bring them, or if you buy them there, it's like $9 each for like an adult-sized float. $9, $12? It was $9 or $12. It was in that range, and we were like, that's more than we want to pay right now, so we just swam in the regular pool. It's a little more beach style, like there's like a fake beach on one side, just a sand area for people to lay out and all that, and there weren't that many people that morning, so it was nice, and like there was space around us to like not be rubbing against people or anything, so that was really nice. And then we went to the park and stayed in the park for the rest of the day. And we did, so the first thing I wanted to do, so the first ride we went on was Men in Black. We did Men in Black, we did the Simpsons ride, we did, hold on, now I'm trying to remember. So we did the Simpsons ride, and we did, we rode Fast and Furious Supercharged, if you can even really call that a ride. I had heard the bad reviews, and I've seen like footage from the ride, but I don't think you can really be prepared for how underwhelming of a ride it is until you've been on it. Because that's the only word that can really be described, like the experience is underwhelming. There's nothing actually wrong with the ride or anything. It's all the theming and the fact that the major scene where you're in the 360 room, is it 360 or is it only 180? But where you're in the like full screen room is like a minute. It's like a single minute, and it's a car chase, and you're like blah blah, and you're bumping around in the, I still swear that the vehicles somehow are still the earthquake subway vehicles, because they still look exactly the same. I realize they're on like a different, they must be on a different track system to move the way they're moving, but it still looks exactly the same, and it's baffling to me that they still stuck so hard to reusing that stuff when they were making a Fast and Furious ride. Like, it does not make sense. Like, oh, it's a giant party bus. Doesn't make sense. Why isn't it a bunch of smaller, sportier cars? Why? And I assume money issues. I assume converting the old stuff up was cheaper than like entirely new cars and like an entirely, because I'm sure the track is entirely new, because it can't be the same track, because it doesn't move in the same way, and it's also a loop now instead of just forward and back. So I don't understand why the choices were made that were made, because if they were like smaller, sportier cars instead of like get in your party bus and then you jump I-4 in your party bus, are you kidding me? That's also just the end. Like, you're being chased, like, you're being, like, shot at by a helicopter or something, and then you'll, like, make, like, one jump in the road, and then they're like, okay, you're done. And it's just like, did that feel like a climax to you? Like, the guy and his daughter in front of us, like, the kid just goes, that's it? And the dad is just like, yup. And Mr. Dragon's just back there like, I know, right? like everyone in our, like, small part there of this ride, like, had the same experience of, like, oh, I guess it's over. And I don't know if, like, maybe just a better post scene than them, like, popping up on the screens in the cars and being like, good job, blah, 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 would be, like just one additional scene of, like, something that feels like a conclusion. Because I guess there's technically climax, but no conclusion. It doesn't even, like, fully build up, but, like, it's like, oh no, you do that part where you gotta like jump a thing in your party bus, because that makes sense. And of all the movie franchises that should be a true roller coaster, and probably not a simulator ride, you would think Fast and Furious would be that. You would think if you were like just in, and it wouldn't even have to be that themed, you would think that if they'd had the queue line they had, and then we're like, alright, you're gonna race now, and then you got on a roller coaster, I think people would be way happier with that, because then you're like, so you're not even part of the story, even though you're like part of the story, because you're just people on a party bus and you're just gonna go party with these guys, right? But the party gets broken up and like you get chased down. But what if you were actually just racing? That could have made people incredibly happy. You didn't, I don't know that you needed to get chased. I think the story could be stronger if it was just like, hey, yo, you want to challenge me? We're the Fast and Furious people, and you're gonna race us, and then you got on a roller coaster. I think people would be insanely happy with that, rather than trying to take Fast and Furious, which is a series that, while there is a story that I understand people enjoy, the main purpose of the series is to watch cars race. Like, the main purpose of the series is the spectacle of watching cars race. I think if any franchise would do great as just a loosely themed roller coaster and people would love it, it would have been Fast and Furious. But yeah, so we did go on that ride, and I don't regret it. I guess it's not that bad, because I'm not like literally like mad that I went on it. Like, it's hilariously bad. It's the only ride I think I've ever been on that I can say was hilariously bad. Like, Spider-Man has like cheesy film effects and story, but it's not bad. Like, it's not a bad experience. And I guess Fast and Furious isn't like the worst experience you could ever have, but it's also just like, you're just left laughing at how bad it was, and not so much like an enjoyment of the actual thing. Like, there's some enjoyment of experiencing the failure, but that's not really their goal. So they kind of missed the mark. Moving on from babbling about things that I didn't really enjoy, I guess I did enjoy it, but anyway, moving on from the negatives, we also saw the horror makeup show, which I've seen a couple of times, but Mr. Dragon had never seen, and it's, as always, it's just like a super cute show. It's weird that it's like horror themed, and the way I'm describing it is it's a cute show. But it just is. For me, it's super cute. Like, it's just two actors like making a lot of bad jokes that are funny every time I hear them somehow. And like doing some gags that I know, but they're like fun to watch every time they happen. It's a very good show. I'm glad it's survived as long as it has. It's been around actually for quite a while, and I'm a little surprised that it hasn't in the recent slew of stuff been changed to something else. It'll be a really sad day if and when the horror makeup show ever does go away, because it's good. And the little gallery outside of it is always fun to look at. You know, creepy Jack the Clown and all that. Always gotta take your selfie with the Phantom of the Opera, you know, all that stuff. And Beetlejuice comes through there now, apparently. I guess that's one of his new like meet and greet spots. We did also, just because we sort of walked by it, and it was like right before the horror makeup show, we did see the Secret Life of Pets block party show, where they bring out the float and they like dance around, and then there's like time to take photographs with, usually it's that they're, so like when it's like the SpongeBob one, or when it used to be Despicable Me, but when or even when so definitely the one that Secret Life of Pets replaced was Hop. So when it was still Hop, like the actual character would be out there and you would take pictures with Hop or whatever, or you can go take pictures with Gru and the girls. It's very weird. It seems very weird for the Secret Life of Pets to be one of these things, because they are not walking characters. They're attached to the float. At the risk of destroying character authenticity, they're animatronics on the float rather than walking characters. So you gotta like walk up to the float and take a selfie with the side of the float that has the character you want to meet on it. I didn't stick around and see exactly how that works, but it was also a very weird show to me, because the dancers are great as always. They always, Universal always choreographs great stuff for their auxiliary dancers to do. The like people who are just dressed up thematically, but aren't characters from the show, who do all the dancing in the street during the parade and during these block parties. They always choreograph great things for these dancers to do. They always cast amazing dancers. So there's always that visual interest is going on. The Secret Life of Pets had some of the least interesting costumes I've ever seen on the dancers, because they all sort of just were like regular people, which is not bad. Like, it just, for me, I'm like, what else could they have done, though? They could have tried to make them animals, I guess, but then it would be weird that the other animals are on the float as animatronics rather than being some kind of person. It was just sort of the least inventive one I've seen. So, But the actual dancing and the quality of the dance was great. But again, the animatronics are just locked onto like position on the float, so they're just still like. It was very strange, because there was just a level of interaction that you can't achieve with those characters that you can with SpongeBob, that you can with the Gru character, you know? But it was cute. Like, it was cute. We stood there and watched it because it was happening, which I think is sort of the point of the. Well, I mean, besides the character meet and greet opportunity for some of the most popular titles they have. But then we did the horror makeup show. Yeah, so also during the day we ate at Finnegan's, and I did get some desserts from one of the like candy shops or whatever. I got a cookie that I really liked. What was in the cookie? It was probably some sort of like white chocolate macadamia cookie. And then I got like a cookie dough fudge. I think it was cookie dough fudge. I don't know, I didn't quite make it through eating it all, because I, for some reason, thought I could eat this giant cookie and this hunk of fudge. And of course, I ate the cookie, started on the fudge, and the fudge is melting, and like, it's not traveling well with us, and I had like a quarter of the fudge left, and I did throw it away, and I feel really bad about that, but it was becoming like just a melted mess because I couldn't finish it, so it needed to go away, unfortunately. We did also stand and watch the Superstar Parade, but we were getting pretty exhausted, and it was still 2 hours until the cinematic celebration. We didn't go on Transformers. We were gonna, the first time we walked by it, it was like a 45-minute wait, and we're like, I don't know, let's see if it dies down later. But by the time we walked back by it at all, we were kind of done for the day. Mr. Dragon reached a point where he was like, I don't really want to get on any more rides, and I was like, that's fine. But then we had to try to find something to do with ourselves until the night show. But as we were like trying to figure out what to do with ourselves, there was a storm rolling in from, it was way across from us, but there was a storm rolling in with like lightning and everything, and Mr. Dragon's like, didn't you just see that lightning? And I'm just like, no, I didn't. And like, he's like, and there was another one. I'm like, didn't see that either, but then I saw the lightning. Not that I disbelieved him, but just that I didn't see it. So so there's this storm rolling in, like lightning and everything, and we're like, it's 2 hours until the show and it's gonna rain, so it might not even happen. Let's go back to the hotel. So we did. We went back to Cabana Bay, and then we ended up deciding to, because we hadn't eaten dinner, like dinner yet. So we ended up exploring the hotel because we knew there were places to eat inside the hotel. And we did look and see what was in the arcade. Mostly like ticket games, kind of disappointing. There were a couple of like normal arcade games that I might have wanted to play, but we ended up not doing it. But like, it was mostly like Fruit Ninja. I think they had a Fruit Ninja machine, and they had a, whatever the newest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game is. It was the new one, because it was definitely not the old one. But like, mostly they had like ticket grabbers and stuff, all stuff designed to tickets and more money and all that. But then we went through to the bar of the bowling alley. We sat and we had a drink, and then we decided to eat food too. And I had a chicken sandwich, and it was a really freaking good chicken sandwich. I don't know, I did have like almost an entire drink before I started in on my sandwich, but it wasn't like drunk. But I don't know, maybe the alcohol helped, but it was actually, I would actually specifically go back there and eat again at that bowling alley, because it was a really good chicken sandwich. And the husband had like a grouper salad that was good too. But yeah, we sat there, had a couple drinks, ate some food, and that was what we ended up doing that night. We never confirmed whether that show ended up actually being canceled, but we never got to see the nighttime show at Universal. And then the next morning we checked out, and then we went to Putting Edge Mini Golf. It's one of the blacklight mini golf places in Orlando. It's in like a defunct-ish mall. It was a very surprising place to find. We were like, oh, this doesn't look like much is going on here. But it was really fun. I got a hole-in-one on a hole on that one, as well as Mr. Dragon got another hole-in-one on a hole on that one. And he still beat me by a lot. But we had fun. It was, I had never done blacklight golf before. It was just very interesting and fun. I don't really have a better descriptor for it than that. And then after Putting Edge, we went to SeaWorld. So again, we didn't make it like an onus because we knew we wanted to stay for all the nighttime stuff. So we didn't make it important to go first thing in the morning because it was Electric Ocean. We wanted to stay for all the Electric Ocean stuff. And we knew we would get tired if we just tried to stay all day. Especially since we don't really ride the rides there, or I don't. And like, we love SeaWorld, walking around, seeing everything. We did go on, I had not been back to SeaWorld since the opening of Empire of the Penguin. So we did go on Empire of the Penguin. You know, they tell you to like pick wild or mild at first, and at first we didn't know what that meant, but then it's very convenient. This is very good of them. Right above where you actually split off into the mild and wild lines, it has a video of what it looks like on the ride between wild and mild, and it turns out wild means it spins a lot. And Mr. Dragon can't handle spinning rides. I know, I can't do roller coasters, he can't do spinning rides. It's weird. But I kind of like spinning rides, so long as it is mostly like in one plane on the ground. Like, I love the teacups. Mr. Dragon does not want to go on the teacups. But yeah, so I was like, oh, it's a spinning ride, we should get on mild. So we did. I think I would have enjoyed it more on not mild, because it's cute. It's a very cute ride, but it's not much of a ride without the spinning bit, because there's just not much. There's sections where there's not much interesting going on, and then the sections where you are in front of the screen and it's supposed to be more like, not a full-on simulator, but it's supposed to be more of a simulator. You're watching the other carts do all the, like, a bunch of spinning and stuff, and you are, like, not moving. You're, like, just sitting there watching a movie, which is not bad. Especially, I think if I were a smaller child who was more terrified of, I think when I was a kid, actually, I would have really appreciated the mild ride, but it was sort of underwhelming as an adult. There could have been a more happier medium between the two, I think, but it's really, I really appreciate the existence of the mild, because that's a child like me who would have been not okay, because when I was a kid I would have been not okay with the wild ride. I think still being able to experience the ride, I think that's actually a really great thing. And like the fact that we got on it and it didn't, you know, upset my husband's stomach or anything, that's great too. So it was still good for us, but it is like a pretty short ride, and it's very cute, but it's very short and a little underwhelming. But then, you know, you get to hang out with the penguins, hang out looking at the penguins, and that's, you know, that's obviously the actual main attraction. So that ended up being actually the only ride we really went on. We did go through, we did go to Wild Arctic, but we didn't actually go on the ride, because it's funny, there was just no one. And even in the actual, the enclosures with like the whales and stuff, there was like no one in that area of the park, and I don't know if that's just people don't know what that is anymore, or if it's just sort of going defunct. It does really seem like the ride, at least, is going pretty defunct. There was just no one getting on that. Like, those kids were just, the ride, I don't know if they're ride operators, but at least the people giving directions and stuff were just like, there's nothing happening, no one wants to go on this ride. And we kind of like, we're like, let's just walk through. Just because I don't know if we really wanted to be like the people who are like, okay, there's only 2 of us, run the ride just for us. Which I'm sure would have given them something to do, so maybe they wouldn't have complained. But there's a part of us that we were just like, I don't know, I guess we'll just walk through. So we didn't even go on that. So the one ride we went on was Empire of the Penguin. But yeah, we walked all the way around the park. We ended up having drinks and appetizers as our lunch at Seafire Grill, or I don't know if the bar attached to it is called something different, but there's Seafire Grill, and there's a little outside bar, and we just sat outside, and I had a glass of Moscato and like a quesadilla, and it was really good. And actually, like, we had so much good food on our honeymoon. When we went to Disney World, we were looking for something that wasn't a hot dog, that was quick service, and we could not find it, so I ended up eating a hot dog. Of course, the next restaurant we passed after we finally decided to eat had chicken fingers, but I think the real thing is we thought we'd have to wait forever for like a sit-down service, so we didn't want to wait, and we didn't want to like pay a lot. But I think this time we went and we were like, no, we're like paying money for food. Like, we're gonna actually eat food and not just like try to find the cheapest like hot dog stand in Universal or whatever. And that's actually and that actually really opened our eyes to the fact that like we should not go to the theme parks if we don't have money for like good food, because there's so much good food in theme parks. Like, there's a lot of actually good food in theme parks, and you just have to wait until you have the money to be able to eat it, because it just really puts a topping on the day. Like, rather than like, because like when we went to Disney World, it was like terrible that because we were trying to eat cheaply in Disney World, I ate a hot dog, and I hate hot dogs. Like, I really don't like hot dogs. And it was like a little bit of a letdown. Like it didn't ruin the day, but it like also didn't elevate the day. And I think just eating those good foods actually really does elevate the day. So and to be honest, actually, at SeaWorld, eating those appetizers wasn't even really, I had a quesadilla, and my husband had brisket tacos. And that's, like, good food, like, not even that expensive, like, but it was good. So even just, you know, sitting down at that bar, because it was pretty empty at the time that we sat down, too, and just waiting for, like, nighttime stuff to start, really. And we did, we saw the opening number for Club Electric, I think is what they call. There's like a dance party area at the Bayside Stadium that they start at like 7:30, and it goes literally all night. And that's also where the fireworks show Ignite happens. But we like stayed there for like a while, and that was actually we're sitting up towards the top of the stadium, and I looked down, and this is one of the only times I've seen like a celebrity and like kind of screamed about it, and it's just because it's not even a big name celebrity. It was Tim Tracker, but it's like I don't usually get like weirdly starstruck, because usually I'm meeting famous people in a work environment. Like that's usually how I've met most of the famous people I've met. So I don't usually like, oh my god, it's so-and-so. But I go, oh my god, it's Tim Tracker. Like, because I just see him, like he's just entered the area and he's filming, and I'm just like, oh my god. I've been watching, because I started watching Tim Tracker's videos when I was working in theme parks, so, you know, a year ago, and I was watching his videos for like a year, and like every time he would be in, you know, my park, and I would be like, Tim Tracker was in the park again today, and you know, but like I worked backstage, so it's not like I was ever gonna run into him. But then like I was just like, randomly on my honeymoon, that's the day that I see Tim Tracker in the wild, and I'm just like, and I actually, so he like made his way to the other side, and I saw him filming, and because I'm just a huge loser, I didn't run up to him and bother him or anything, but I did run down and actually start dancing in the like dance area, like sort of in front of where he was filming, in the like hopes that I would make it into his video, and I did. It's so I like, on the one hand I'm like, oh, I'm such a terrible person, but on the other hand, I'm sure he had a lot of footage that didn't have me in it. They just happened to edit a shot that I was in, and I'm like, I did it! I made it into a Tim Tracker video! And I'm like so ridiculously excited just because I was like feet away from this YouTuber. But like, he was filming, and I didn't like want to like rush up to him and be like, oh my god, Tim Tracker. And then I like was genuinely like, because I was dancing with one of the cast members, so I was like genuinely just doing that for a while. Like, so I actually, like, an experience I wouldn't have done otherwise, I did, and I don't regret it. Like, I enjoyed doing that. Like, the cast members it was fun to see the costumes up close. I should have gone down there the whole time just to see them up close, but like the reason I went down was like, oh my god, Tim Tracker. But like it was so great to like see the costumes up close. The performers are like all doing a really good job of like being really, really great to the guests, and like teaching them dance moves, or just like, you know, or just doing dance moves and we're trying to copy. Like, when I first came up, this is actually the shot that's in Tim Tracker's video. When I first came up, the cast member was flossing, so I'm just looking at him like trying to do it, and I'm like, nah, I don't know this one. And that's me failing at flossing is what made it into the video. But I had fun. Like, I was genuinely having fun trying to do that. And the cast member was really fun. There was like another lady that I like was dancing with too, and we were all like kind of dancing, and it was actually a really great experience that it's a shame that I wouldn't have done it if it hadn't been for me like shamelessly trying to get myself into a famous internet personality's video. And we did actually see him again, because he was also there the whole night to also film parts of Ignite, the big fireworks show, which is really great. And we did pass by him as that was over and we were exiting, but he was just over there, like, he was like behind some bushes, like trying to pack up his gear, and I just, I really respect that this is his job. Like, his job is filming these vlogs in the park and talking about his experience and giving a little review. So for me, I didn't want to like run up to him and even though like all I have to say is complimentary things like, you make great videos, like you seem like such a nice person, and I think you like seem like an encouraging personality to people. Also, like, I respect that he's working, and I just didn't wanna, like, and he was just trying to do his job, and I know that my husband said, like, oh yes, he came by here while you were still dancing when he left, and some people stopped and took a photo with him, and he's like, do you want to go say hi to him? And I, like, when we saw him again, and I was like, nah, he looks like he's just trying to work, and I don't want to interrupt that. Like, for me, just like having seen him is cool enough. I don't need to have, for me personally, I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm bothering him, and he's working, so I'm gonna leave him alone. But yeah, and Ignite was really great. There's not just fireworks, there's actual like fire, there's like flamethrowers out in the bay, and it's like pfft, and we were like midway up the arena, and it was like so hot, like you could feel the fire, and it's like really well timed to the music, and there's lasers. Ignite is a really good, really exciting show, and I cannot praise it enough. And the costumes that go along with Club Electric, I think that's what it's called, with Club Electric, all the fish people are great. The puppetry is great. There's a lot of really amazing things to see. I don't know how much longer it's running this year, but definitely Electric Ocean is a thing to go do. Like, if you're gonna go in the summer, make sure you're picking a night that Electric Ocean is running, because it doesn't run the whole summer. It runs like just weekends, or it runs select nights for a while, and then it runs all nights for a while. But yeah, if you're gonna go to SeaWorld in summer, make sure it's a night that Electric Ocean is happening, because it is a really cool event. They also do all of the other shows have a nighttime version of their show. So like, we saw the nighttime version of the Sea Lion show, and it's Sea Lions Tonight is what it was called. And they actually do a really great thing. It's so cute. The like plot of the show is they go see the other shows. So they do little parodies of all the other shows in the park, and it's so funny, and like it's so obviously like good-willed, but from a place of like poking fun at your coworkers that is just like beautiful. We didn't see the daytime or nighttime dolphin show. We didn't see the daytime lion show. We missed a lot of the shows. We did see Pets Ahoy though. But yeah, it's Pets Ahoy, super cute. Definitely recommend. We did see the Shamu Light Up the Night show. We saw the like opening of Club Electric. Yeah, I keep forgetting it. I doubt myself every time, but I've been calling it the same thing, Club Electric, and we like waited there for like 30 minutes, and then we went over to Shamu Stadium to see the Shamu show. That was like pretty good. There was like It was this weird, like, pre-show with, like, a lady who was like, all right, we're gonna dance through the decades, and, like, they caught people on camera dancing in the audience, doing the, decade-appropriate dance for whatever decade was currently up, which is interesting. Fun. Like, people were dancing, people were having fun. I was at a point in the night where I was kind of tired, because I had already done my dancing over at Club Electric, but yeah, it's, because it's actually, like, dark-ish, getting dark at the time that show happens, they're able to make use of more lighting, and, it's funny, because they have spotlights, and my husband looks over, and he's like harnessed to the wall to work that spotlight, and I'm like, yeah, because it's a really narrow platform. He's like, yeah, it's just kind of weird. And then he's just kind of like, I want that guy's job. And I'm like, well, because it's just running a spotlight for the whale show. Like, come on, that's cool. Like, that would be a cool job. Yeah, so there's a couple of spotlights, which I'm sure they don't really use during the day because bright, but because it's later at night, they can actually use more lights and actually have like a really creative use of that, and I really appreciate that. Like, that's really cool. Like, they have like they have some like fountains in front of the pool that have lights in them, and that's really cool. I ended up looking at those a little bit more often than I was looking at the whales even. That has a lot to do with my personality too. Like, I'm not always paying attention to the performers in live theater either. A lot of times I will look at what's happening technically around what's actually I'm supposed to be paying attention to, but you know, that's just a thing that I do. But yeah, so that was really great, and then we went back over to the Bayside Stadium and watched Ignite, and I already talked about all of that, but yeah, and then we drove home that night. We spent a few days, because we still had we came home on Wednesday. Yeah, we came home on Wednesday night, and so we still had off until the next Monday. So we did at home for the rest of our honeymoon. Nothing terribly interesting. We went out to eat a couple times, but mostly we just relaxed. Because as fun as like being out at the theme parks and like being at the hotel is, there's also, you know, a level of doing stuff that like being at home not doing stuff is. So we actually like had recovery time from our honeymoon. Like, we did all the excitement, and then we did like, okay, let's just be calm and be home and not have to do anything, and then we went back to work, and I think that really worked out. So I have talked for forever, and finally we have reached the end. So as always, I will see you treasures next time. Bye.